Hello, welcome back to B-Rock Review. My name's Andy Shaw. I had a comment on the Charlie Parker Omnibook critical review by a guy called Chris Stewart, who's a saxophone player. He's a doctor who's kind of like a bebop enthusiast. He seems to be more enthusiastic about Cannonball Adderley though than Charlie Parker, but he says he's a big Cannonball Adderley Charlie Parker fan, right? And he's told, I'll just read out what he says. He says, "Thanks for that, Andy. I second your opinion. I actually let me tell you, my three criticisms of the Charlie Parker Omnibook was, number one is that they put in the wrong tunes and didn't put enough ballads in. Number two, the solos were not accurate enough. And number three, there were no key signatures." So I'll just remind you about what I said. So he says, "I second your opinion. I actually redid the entire Omnibook several years ago, including the entire tunes, and submitted it to Hal Leonard. Their board of directors didn't want to do a corrected edition because it is a classic as is. It certainly is, but I still want the correct notes and guidance on phrasing and articulations, and only use my own version now. As a result of my suggestion, they have agreed to publish a new version with all different tunes called the Charlie Parker Omnibook Volume 2. Just about everything you criticised in the original has been remedied. In this soon-to-be-released version, I didn't include as many ballads as you would like, but all your other wishes mentioned are in it. In addition, I discovered nearly inaudible live recordings after he got out of Camarillo, where he plays like he's on speed or something. So half the book is pre-Camarillo to showcase his approach to playing and composing, and the other half is post-Camarillo, where his genius exuded unimpaired. Unlike my 800 or so Cannonball transcriptions." So I don't know this guy, Chris Stewart, so he's obviously done a load of Cannonball transcriptions as well. It means Cannonball Adderley. "I backed away on the articulation." I don't understand why he says that. I mean, that's one of the most important things about Charlie Parker. But like I said, you don't have to put all Charlie Parker's articulation, just a few solos, so you can get an idea. He goes on to say, it was actually easy to do as Parker didn't play such a variety of drum-like articulations like Cannonball did. In my opinion, I am putting band-in-a-box examples of a new book on my YouTube channel, Doc Stewart." I think he wants me to buy the book, actually. It sounds like an advertisement for buying this book with the transcriptions that he's put in. Now, why have I put this video in? Well, there's certain things that put me off this book straight away. The main thing is that he submitted a corrected version of Volume 1, the Omnibook, Volume 1, to Hal Leonard, and Hal Leonard would not print it, right, would not correct their rubbish version, right, because it's a class. They say it's a classic. Yeah, it's a classic piece of rubbish because there's no key signatures, the solos are not very accurate, right, and what was my other criticism? It's not the best tune, so it's not a classic as far as I'm concerned. Now, I just want to say something else before you all start having a go at me. I am not blaming Jamie Abersol, right, for this problem. Jamie Abersol, who did the transcriptions. Now, I'm like a lot of you, I'm quite familiar with Jamie Abersol's work, right, and he would not produce transcriptions as inaccurate as they are in the Charlie Parker Omnibook. In Blues for Alice, there's one bar where there's 5 beats in a bar. Can you imagine somebody like Jamie Abersol making a mistake like I wouldn't make a mistake like that, so I know Jamie Abersol definitely wouldn't. And also there's problems with fingering. Now Jamie Abersol is a saxophone player, so he knows straight away. So the person who's copied it out for publication, has actually, he's the one who's made the mistakes, right? Now, if you're familiar with Adam Neely's videos, Adam Neely, one of his videos, it's a very good one, where he actually transcribes, he's doing a gig and he needs to learn a tune. This band where he's learning a gig, they've sent him a tune, they said, learn this tune. But he didn't bother looking at the music, he took it straight off the record because he says you can't trust the music. And I agree with him. It's true, you cannot trust the music. A lot of what Americans publish, it's not the actual American musicians themselves or the people who produce these books. It's the people, when I say produce the books, I mean the people who write out the solos and everything. It's the people who make the books, produce the books out. And that's the typical typical thing what you expect. Hal Leonard saying, "Oh, we've produced this classic, so we're not correcting it." I mean, by people saying that, I just would keep away from everything that Hal Leonard ever produced when they said things like that. Because then you think to yourself, well, how much more rubbish have they putting out, when they're not bothering correcting it? So, I know this is me going off my head, but I really want to get this across. So, he said he doesn't include any ballads, Chris Stewart, so you must have ballads. Now, what I'm saying is, don't bother with Charlie Parker Omnibook. Don't bother with the Charlie Parker Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, or whatever, right? It's produced by Hal Leonard. They're not bothered about turning out stuff with his mistakes, right? They're not bothered about keeping the person who wrote its reputation to a high standard like Jamie Amersall. Because as far as I'm concerned, they're just knocking his reputation down. What you should do is, you should do this. Go to my Facebook page, Bebop Review, and get this. It's free, right? It's the greatest thing ever written on bebop. It's the PhD study by Thomas Owen. It gives you loads of stuff that keep you going for years, right? Everything that I'm doing in this course is based on this book, right? He goes into it. It's pretty heavy, but he goes into everything. But I'll be explaining a lot of what he says in a simplified way, right? And also there's this one, which is Jen Kwan Chan. He's a Taiwanese musician who studied at Berklee College of Music, and he produced a book called Charlie Parker, The Analytical Study of 22 Performance Versions of Now's Time. Now, this is also on my Facebook page. If you go down to the link, you can link and get it in PDF form and download it. And this is another excellent study in 4 volumes. I've only got volume 4, I'm showing you here, but it's another big pile. Now, if you print those 2 out, the Thomas Owen, now they're going to cost you a bit to print them out, but if you print out the Thomas Owen and the Jen Kwan Chan PhDs, right, you'll know 90% of everything you need to know in bebop, really. And then if you study your harmony, which I'll be putting the harmony things, and I know I'm falling behind a bit, but it's just time. It really takes a long time to produce a video for YouTube, and there's a lot of graphics in the harmony course that I'm going on. I'm actually working on one now. I'm hoping to get it finished today, another harmony lesson. But if you do the harmony, get your harmony up, your jazz harmony up to scratch, because it's different to concert harmony. You know, Rick Beato, right, is a professor in it, and I've criticised him for some of his bebop. Rick Beato is trained in concert music, and then he's kind of read books that have got him into jazz harmony and things, and it's not the same. Concert harmony, or European concert music, you know, or classical music if you want to call it that, but the correct name is concert music, is not the same as jazz harmony. It's something completely different. You've got to study them separate, because I've studied both, so I know that they're different. So if you're studying jazz harmony, you've really got to study jazz harmony. You can't have done a course in concert music or European classical types music and then think that you're not going to know everything about, you know, jazz harmony. It's different. A lot of things were developed in jazz harmony, so you really need to get into that separately. Okay, so that's why I'm putting that course on Berklee Harmony. But what I'm just saying is, right, this whole little discussion of me, we're going off my head, is forget about the Charlie Parker Omnibook. You need a book to study, and you need somebody who are enthusiasts who did it. And Thomas Owen, right, and Jen Kwan Chan, they're both enthusiasts. They spent all their life studying Charlie Parker, and even today they're still doing it now. Even, you know, I mean, Thomas Owen's in his 80s, you know, I think he's still alive, and he's still a Charlie Parker, you know, I'm really into Charlie Parker. And Jen Kwan Chan, who is a famous classical composer now, he's won loads of awards and stuff. He's also a Charlie Parker fan, you know, it's like, it's spare time hobby, and that's the type of people you want to be into. People who are real enthusiasts. Now, I'm not saying that Chris Stewart isn't an enthusiast. He is an enthusiast, right? But he's like me. He's not a professional musician. I'm not a professional musician. My background is engineering, and Chris Stewart's he's a doctor. He's an emergency doctor. And you need to be looking at people who've really studied. And those guys I've just been talking about, they studied for years. So you can get so much information out of that. And it's not just the transcriptions that you're getting. Like the Thomas Owen book has got 170 transcriptions of Charlie Parker, and they're pretty accurate, you know what I mean? And you get scores as well. He gives you complete scores of tunes, which is very good. But the main thing is that they spent years studying it, so you're getting so much information that you'll never get out of a Charlie Parker Omnibook. So that's all I really want to say in this little video. I've just set it up now after I've read I've set my video up now to do this, just after I've just read that just a few minutes ago, his comment, because I just feel it's so strongly that I need to get this across to you about studying Charlie Parker. I don't want you to waste your time. I don't want you to waste your time like I've wasted my time. I want you to get into the right way to do things. That's why I'm always saying use key signatures and things like that. It's just the right way to do things, you know. I'm starting you off very simple on tetrachords. Make sure you can know all your tetrachords inside out and back to front. When we go into 7th chords in the harmony, the new harmony lesson I'm going to do, we're going to go inside out on it, you know what I mean? Because as it goes on, jazz music can get incredibly complicated with all extensions and that. But if you know your basics, it's just so easy to see things. Right, so that's it for this. Okay, I'm also still worrying about doing the classical course, the actual one in traditional harmony, so you actually can see the difference. It's like I said, traditional harmony is really good if you're doing arranging later on. So I'll leave you to it. It's a snowy day in Sheffield still. I'll be glad when all this snow's gone actually. It's been a bit too cold. And I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.